Thank you for joining us for American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bermel, joined by Ethan Euchre. And yes, I said Ethan Euchre.
Yes.
We brought him back from the blaze.
I am back from the dead. Yes.
And we are so proud to have you here.
Did my time in Manhattan, decided it wasn't for me. And thank God for you, Kimberly, and Dr. Bonatti for bringing me back. So here we are.
Absolutely. And we have Jeff Wagstaff here, our senior fellow.
He is. You're still a senior fellow, I see.
I have remained a senior fellow here at the Bonatti Spine Institute.
Very
Yes.
nice. Very nice.
And we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Bonatti. And in studio, we have guest Congressman David Jolly. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate it.
We are excited to speak to you not only about the debacle with the VA, but also about your thoughts on Obamacare.
Sure. Which one do you want to start with?
Well, I mean, the first thing, kind of why I reached out to your folks, Congressman Jolly, is Kimberly wanted to get somebody to talk about the VA scandal, and I see you all over the news up in Washington talking to some of the whistleblowers and this and that. So, just if you could give us a little bit of background on how you got involved, and for people that don't even know what the VA scandal is all about, if you could kind of summarize that as well, that'd be great.
Sure, of course, you bet. So when a new member of Congress is elected, they're assigned certain committees of jurisdiction. I asked to go on the Veterans Affairs Committee. This was about 3 to 4 weeks before this crisis broke.
Oh, wow.
So it was very interesting timing to go onto the committee. We know that the density of veterans in the Tampa Bay area and Pinellas County, where I represent. We know the good work at Haley and at Bay Pines. But the fact is, VA is going through a crisis right now. And in the words of one of their senior leaders, it's a crisis of integrity. And we can't lose sight of the fact that veterans have died as a result of negligence of the VA. And that's not to be political. Those are the facts. Veterans have died. It's a historic crisis. We should recognize it as a historic crisis, and I think it needs historic solutions. My concern is the political establishment is always too late to identify a crisis and too quick to consider it resolved. We are nowhere near having this resolved. So what are a couple things that have happened already? The immediate need is to clear the waiting list. The tens of thousands, maybe 90,000 people on the waiting list. Wow. The administration is working through that proactively. Congress is trying to give them additional authority to move through that waiting list even more quickly. And then how do we pay for it? There's a bill pending in Congress that hopefully will be resolved very soon that freezes senior level bonuses for the next 2 years. And that in itself frees up $800 million that can go towards health care.
The $800 million that were just being given out in bonuses.
That's right. Here's an interesting thing about one of our hearings. You'll like this. So,
how do you get that gig? That's what I want.
Well, it gets even better. Okay, so bonuses are based on evaluations at the end of the year. Of all the senior officials that were reviewed, not a single senior VA official received an evaluation of less than above average. Now, explain how that works on a bell curve. If everybody's above average,
right,
then
there's
who are
no
you being
average.
compared to? There's no average, right? So $800 million will be saved when this law is enacted.
When we know the entire system is operating well below average in competency and efficiencies.
That's exactly right. Listen, we could talk about several reforms. I have a few ideas. I will tell you this. A number of veterans, the vast majority of veterans that I speak to, and we recently had a day where we invited every veteran that wanted to come speak to us, come into the office. We had about 300 people show up. The vast majority want to stay within the VA healthcare system. They like it. They like their doctors, they like their nurses, they like their staff. There obviously are those who want to go outside of the system and have complaints. So I don't necessarily subscribe to the notion of just voucher everybody out and shut down the VA because the veterans like it there. Here's something I think we can do, though, to inject the competition that will ultimately lead to improvements in VA healthcare. Give every veteran a choice card, like a TRICARE card, like a Medicare card. Let them choose where they want to go. If they want to go to the VA, go to the VA. If they want to go to another provider, go to another provider. And what we will be able to quickly identify is what is the attrition rate of patients at different VA facilities. Because it'll be different in Tampa and St. Pete than it is in Arizona or Boston or LA. But we'll be able to identify based on competitive pressures which hospitals are performing well.
Congressman Jolly, you've had a chance to really drill down on this. What is the state of those VA facilities here that our Tampa Bay area veterans when they go to the VA, what kind of service are they receiving? I think we can all agree that they deserve the very best of healthcare. But what are they actually receiving? All we hear are the negatives on the news. But what is your personal assessment of these local facilities?
We hear great compliments about the doctors and nurses and staff, about the quality of care. We really do. We hear great compliments about the quality of care. The frustration is first in getting in. It can be months to get your first appointment. So the delay in getting in. Secondly, if a veteran patient, asks for a different physician or asks to go outside of the system, they rate that experience very poor. One of the things we did when we had the 300 people in our office is we did a survey. Now, this is a self-selected group, but roughly 70% rated their care as excellent. If you go average to excellent, it got up to about 90%. But for those who said they asked to go outside of the VA healthcare system, the process within the VA to get referred out was rated as very poor by about 50% of the patients. So quality of care is great if you can get in and get it. Referrals are not operating as efficiently or as patient-centered as they should. And then lastly, in specialties and subspecialties is where we hear a number of complaints. One of the greatest concerns we hear is the length of time for a specialty consultation. So, for instance, a colonoscopy or some type of gastroenterology. And the wait list then, that ultimately when the patient is seen 5 months later, 8 months later, 11 months later, we've heard a number of cases where they're then diagnosed with stage 3 or stage 4 cancer when they should have been in to see that physician 11 months earlier, 5 months earlier, whatever the time wait is.
Now, do you think part of the problem is just there's not enough doctors and nurses? I have a figure here that I was reading a little bit earlier. They're saying that Sloan Gibson, who was the acting secretary of the VA, the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, said it's going to cost $17.6 billion over the next 3 years to fix the problems that led to the waiting list scandal, and will require hiring 1,500 doctors as well as 8,500 nurses to sort of fix these problems. So I'm assuming lack of resources and understaffing is a major part of this issue?
It may be, but if so, that is the responsibility, and I will say the fault of this administration.
Yeah.
And here's why. The VA has received every dollar it has asked for. It is the second largest department with nearly 300,000 employees. 300,000 employees.
That's incredible.
Their budget has nearly doubled in the past, and I don't know the exact number, say 10 to 12 years. So they have been provided the resources. Have they used them effectively? Probably not. I think that's obvious. And then the second issue, and I will bring this in, there are labor rules within the Department of Veterans Affairs and human resources rules that interfere with the timely acquisition of human capital. It can take 6 months, 8 months, or 10 months to make a hire at the VA.
Wow.
When outside in the private sector, we can make that hire tomorrow and be at work. The VA rules don't allow for that, or at least their administrative policy doesn't allow for that. So if there is a shortage, listen, Congress will listen to that request, and I imagine Congress will provide sufficient funding. But at the end of the day, we need dramatic reforms institutionally within the VA. I think we need to shatter the bureaucracy within the VA once and for all, break it up, and let's create a new VA that actually is patient-centered.
Are they going to leave the same management in control?
I hope not. So the VA system, the healthcare system, is divided into different regions. And listen, some perform very well. Some don't perform very well.
Correct.
We saw what happened in Phoenix. One of the reforms that I've proposed, in addition to a choice card for the veteran, I would like to see us consider competitively awarding to a private healthcare provider a management contract for VA regional systems. So if you consider here in the Tampa Bay area, you have BayCare Health Systems, and that includes several different facilities. It's a group of facilities. The VA operates in essentially the same way. Our regional system over in St. Petersburg comprises about 6 different facilities. Let's consider competitively awarding a private contract to a healthcare provider that's used to providing quality care. Do we do that in every region right away? Probably not. But is it worth a pilot project where we say, let's choose 3 regions and do it? Let's do it. And then let's measure the metrics against those that remain within the VA institution.
Well, we got about 2 minutes left. I know, Kimberly, you wanted to get Congressman Jolly's thoughts on the Affordable Health Care Act. don't really have a specific question for you other than, one thing that keeps coming up every time we discuss it is sort of the constitutionality of it.
Sure.
You're an attorney. I mean, is the Affordable Health Care Act constitutional?
I think the individual mandate is unconstitutional, personally. Supreme Court has ruled under the taxing authority of the Congress it can be declared constitutional. That, to me, suggests it's the largest tax increase in American history then. Listen, I would have voted against it. I would vote for repeal of it. But we have to have answers as well on my side of the aisle. I like to talk about a term health insurance plan that provides price certainty, can't be canceled based on intervening health events. That, or a term health insurance plan, that's accomplished through less regulation, less government. Decouple it from the employer. Listen, we wouldn't have the Hobby Lobby case right now if people actually had control over their health care and didn't have to rely on an employer-subsidized health plan. That is one more example of what happens when we have regulations and too much government controlling our health care.
How affordable do you think the Affordable Health Care Act has been?
Well, if you ask people in Pinellas County, not very. And you ask those who have lost their plans, not great. There was a story this weekend, actually, somebody who was excited to get an affordable plan, and it turns out they can't actually get a doctor now because the Humana plan that they chose, their doctors aren't available. So listen, Obamacare has been a disaster. It is the president's signature signature legislative achievement. And yet on his own, he's unilaterally delaying and postponing provisions of his own signature law.
Correct.
And that reflects the fact that he knows it's a disaster.
And how come so many companies are becoming exempt from it?
Well, that's a result of his 1-year delay. So, Congress continues to push through changes to Obamacare, and he won't even listen. But yet, on a Friday night, late at night, he'll issue an executive order to actually delay or change his own law because he knows what Congress has been saying, and frankly, what the American people have been saying is right all along. We could have accomplished specific solutions to our healthcare issues, healthcare coverage issues, without bringing the government in to 1/6 or 1/7 of our economy. The patients have lost choice. They've lost control of their own healthcare. It's driving up costs. And where we're really hearing concerns is from businesses who have rushed to renew plans ahead of the Obamacare requirements, or who are having to absorb additional costs, or frankly, lay people off or reduce their hours to comply with Obamacare.
I think because nobody really read it and knew what was in it.
That's right.
That was the biggest problem.
Yep.
That's right.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time, Congressman David Jolly. Headed back to D.C., I'm assuming?
Tomorrow morning, we'll be in for 2 more weeks, and then we'll be working here in the district over the month of August.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure. Appreciate you stopping by the studio here and joining us on American Medicine Today. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Kimberly, if people want to get in touch with the Bonati Spine Institute, how do they do so?
Well, they can reach out to 855-267-0483 or visit Bonati.com. You're watching American Medicine Today and listening on News Radio 970, WFLA.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail. The Bonati Spine Institute is proud to announce more than a 94% patient-reported success rate in over 45,000 patent-protected spine surgical procedures. Call us today at 855-267-0483 or visit us at Bonati.com.
All my pain is gone. Gone.
Today I am totally pain-free. Nothing. No after effect.
I'm pain-free, and I have had to take any pain medication.
Today I am pain-free for the first time in over a year, and it is so awesome.
I only wish I'd known about it earlier. Right now, I am completely without pain.
Sitting here in this office right now, pain-free, eager to enjoy the rest of my life.
I am feeling great.
I feel 100% better, like a new person.
Today I feel absolutely fantastic. It's just incredible, the relief I feel right now. Today I'm completely pain-free.
During the procedure, I literally felt the pain melt away. It was fantastic.
I feel so good.
It took care of my headaches instantly.
It's incredible. It's really incredible. It gave me my life back.
It's just wonderful.
I feel fantastic.
It is just absolutely amazing.
So I'm hoping to be climbing hills in a few weeks.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.